nice, real good bandwidth. I think those are turtles popping their head up in the shallow parts.
Probably so.
And probably fish right here in the middle.
Yeah, probably so. Okay. So then to turn it around, I press.
Double tapping usually works. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Hold on.
What's
Hello.
up? What's up?
We got somebody on here with us. Awesome. Did y'all get to see the sunset? Hey, Terica.
Yeah.
Peace, Terica.
Y'all know how we do. We just out here.
Kalani, don't go near the water. Don't go any further than there. Y'all want to see the sunset again before we get into it? I know I'm not the only one to love the sun. Watching the sunset.
Right.
This is Shelby Farms in Memphis, Tennessee. And for those of you who are in Memphis and never been here, this is like really one of the most peaceful places to come.
We're talking about topping on a piece of chicken.
Very good vibration. We gotta get her some skates. We gotta get her some skates.
Look around.
Yeah.
All right.
So, we're just laughing at the kids and stuff. It's so cute. We should stop underestimating Kalani and get us some.
Yeah.
She might
enjoy
do
that.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sorry, y'all. I'm distracted. Ain't that beautiful?
Yep.
Terica, how are you, wonderful queen? You the only one in here with us today.
Hey, Terica. Yeah.
There's somebody else in here with us. Say hello. Say hello so we can shout you out. Where are you? So I guess we're gonna go ahead and get started. You all, of course, can always.
Lonnie.
Kalani, that's too far. Come over here. No.
Come on back.
Come over here. We'll skip rocks after we finish. Come sit down. Good, Terica. She said she's doing good.
That's good.
So, like, I don't want to spoil anything for you all. You haven't seen ENDGAME, but I feel like the message that came through is very important, and I feel like it needs to be shared like now while I'm still in the emotion of the movie. So I'm gonna just go through these notes kind of quickly, and the things that I need to probably expound upon I will, but I'm 100% sure this is gonna resonate with a lot of you. First of all, this will not be a video where talking about Illuminati or those type of signs and symbols, the Freemasons. We won't be talking about numerology and tell you what to expect. But the decoding, okay, but just wait till we're done.
But
The decoding
I don't
that,
need you guys. I do.
okay, no,
No, you do need us.
Why?
Okay,
Yeah.
so the
She said, "I don't
decoding,
need you guys."
Why?
wait, because we're doing the video and I need you to be quiet so we can finish.
But I
When we're finished, we can skip rocks, but if you don't be quiet so we can finish, we're not gonna skip rocks.
don't skip.
Okay, so you show us when we're done. So, Bolton, Katura. Oh, hey, Katura. I saw Bolton pop up. I'm like, who is that? Hey, J Girl Beckles. Okay, so this is not gonna be that. This is much more important than that. The important thing for us to know is energetically, what are these movies speaking to us as a people? And so being able to decode, hold on, baby.
I don't skip so
Okay,
good.
just wait. Being able to decode these movies, it's not like you're watching this for entertainment. This is actually stuff that can help you shift to a higher consciousness. And all of us are working on our vibrations. All of us is trying to clear trauma and work on who we are so that we can become our highest selves. And that's exactly what this movie was about.
Right.
first of all, in the movie, there were a lot of timeline manipulations, and that was like the only way to survive what Thanos had done was through manipulating the timeline. The reason that I feel this is important is because we don't quite understand, coming from a 3D perspective, we don't quite understand the importance of quantum physics, nor do we quite understand the importance of being able to manipulate timelines. And so I intuitively feel something took place in 2012 that was going to wipe us out. And so 9/11 was necessary to be the sacrifice to save. So we lost some, but we probably saved billions. And just intuitively speaking, I'm 100% sure what I'm hearing with clarity. That's why 9/11 happened. They had already went forward and backwards in time to figure out variables. And so what had to happen, that sacrifice had to take place so that whatever was going to happen that was going to destroy Earth in 2012 didn't happen because of what was done in 2001.
Yeah.
And if you look at the years, you got 2012, 2001. Those are mirror numbers. They consist of the exact same numbers. So that's like a mirror timeline. And so that's why we're seeing the Mandela effects and stuff like that. And that's why the Mayans talked about it. So them going to the past and deciphering the messages from the Mayans is what, I'll take this and I'll finish, is what allowed us to be able to survive destruction. I don't know if it was nuclear bombs or what, but I do know that something happened, and it was as a result of what we were doing to the earth. And so this led to destruction. So that's, I did not expect to share that. That just came through to me just now, that's why that happened. Now, are they trying to cheat time? Like, whenever you try to intervene with quantum physics, you're tapping into the very fabric of what the material world was birthed from, consists of. And so there has to be a price when you manipulate that. So are they trying to cheat time? Are they trying to add time to humanity? These are some of the possibilities and the questions that I want to present to you. If this earth as we know it now is meant to end, to begin again, then which powers are keeping us headed on a path towards destruction, and which powers are trying to assist us to be on a path that will lead to salvation of the earth? And so there are always multiple sets of councils that make decisions. And so we have movies like, what was the other movie where they would go back through time to try to recreate events and they would wipe everyone's memory? It begins with an A, the something. I can't think of the name of it right now, but there's a lot of movies like that. But this is the real thing, and there are real councils who that sit on the boards of each country who make these decisions. That is a very real thing. This is not sci-fi. So another question I want to present: are we, as a collective, are we shifting? Are we the cause of the Mandela effect? Are we shifting the reality as it is now? Is it because of our awakening as a collective that these shifts are happening and taking place? Could it be us? Could it not be the malevolent and benevolent beings who a lot of us have learned there is a infinite war that has been going on, since before humanity was established? So there is a possibility that it's either of them that is in the middle of this, what I'm calling a quantum war, or we're in the middle of the battle and we're stimulating reality and we're bending reality, and we're tapping into other realities, other universes. And as we're doing this, it's kind of like messing up the plans of the benevolent beings who would like for humanity to end and probably would like the resources for themselves. Most of the wars have always been over resources and over the beliefs of people as a collective. So what we do and what we believe in as a collective absolutely has an impact on the earth as a whole. So you can be at home in the basement right now and feel very unimportant, but know that because you're existing here right now, what you think, what you do, the way that you live, the way that you treat people will absolutely have a butterfly effect in the rest of the world. And you don't know how many people you're impacting. So, even if you're on the other side of the computer or the camera, you're just as important, because all of us have to do this work. All of us must, as we are working on ourselves and learning to know thyself and improving ourselves. As we are doing this, it is absolutely grounding higher frequencies. It is grounding the ability for us to tap into love like never before, right? Learn to be alchemists, not trying to get rid of demons, but learning how to work with those lower dimensional energies. And in doing that, we create a world that none of us have ever seen in this lifetime. So intuitively, that's what I feel. Now, Nebula, which is one of the characters, I don't know all of the characters' names, but most of them I do, and I'm sure y'all can help me on that. But I do know Nebula. She was the one with the blue skin. She was Thanos' daughter. Nebula, she had to kill her other self. And because they went back in time, she ended up facing herself, the one that was helping her father Thanos destroy the universe. And she ended up having to face herself. And that the new self was a better self. She had lost her arm. She lost some of her power, her abilities, and her strength, and it humbled her. She was very, in the first one, it was almost like she didn't have a heart, and in this one, she did. She had a heart, and her heart was so strong about what she felt was right that she was willing to kill her dad, and she did. She killed her dad, and she killed her old self. And so sometimes it's necessary to kill your old self. Sometimes it's necessary to completely crucify the person who you were in the past, so that the person you're trying to become is easier. It's a flow. But if you're not willing to let go of who you used to be, and if people who want you to stay the same, and if you allow that pressure to make you stay the same as the old person you were, then you're not going to spiritually ascend. You're going to be stuck. And I believe purgatory is just a state of mind where you are existing, you're living, but you're stuck. You're like stuck in this holding cell, right? Because this is what happens to people who resist the shifts. So that was one of the messages that I got from that. Okay, let's see. Okay, so Captain America attained power to wield Thor's hammer. And after Thor had failed to harness his hammer, and I believe the reason that this happened is because Thor was in a very fallen state, and I'm going to get more into that in just a moment. And so because of that, Captain America was able to wield his hammer just as Thor would. No practice, no training, nothing. And I think that that's significant because there are spiritual abilities that we desire to have that we haven't manifested yet. And sometimes you look at other people and you feel as if what they're doing is more important or more powerful than what you're doing. And I think that was just a really good message to know you can absolutely have those powers. And just because someone else has it, and just because it seems that the hammer and Thor were made for each other, right? That doesn't mean that you can't wield that power and maybe better. So that was the significance of that. And it's one more thing too, because I do see how America keep themselves as the superpower. I'm going to get into that in just a moment. So now Captain America's shield was broken, okay? Iron Man had made him a new one and it was broken. So he let it go. They showed a scene where he just let it go. The things that were shielding you in the past, those things are no longer shielding you. It's time to let it go. Don't matter what it is, no matter who it is, whether they were ideas, religious beliefs, maybe certain foods were comfort foods, maybe certain people we felt like were shields for us. You could have felt like your spouse was your shield, and now your relationship is ending, right? Well, the old shields no longer serve us, and we don't need them anymore. So know that, be encouraged, and know that you will receive new things to shield you once you actually let go of the things that are no longer serving you. And also, America is changing. Something significant that I saw happen was that after they almost failed at trying to save Earth, the first people who showed up through the portal was the cast of Black Panther. And the cast of Black Panther like literally opened the portal and walked through it, and it was 3 of them, and that 3 is very important because 3 represents the Trinity. 3 represents the mind, it represents the soul, and it represents the spirit. Some say the body, but that's the Trinity. And so they came through, and I think that was significant because it was almost to say, okay, yes, Black people, Native American, Irish, even though they're doing a lot better, but a lot of people were brought over here not in the best circumstances, and it's time to stop oppressing these people and allow these people to step into the power of who they are and to help us, to help save humanity. That was the importance of that. And so that's like a resurrection, that's really beautiful. It's like a resurrection, and we're being restored back to the beautiful things that we once, how we coexisted on earth. Restoration is absolutely taking place. When I saw that, I cried, and I'm really not, I don't consider myself to be a big crier, but it made me cry, like really cry, like ugly cry, like crying. Yeah, I did all of that. Actually, a lot of people was crying during that scene, so it wasn't just me. Let's see, what else? Y'all, these mosquitoes out here ain't no joke. Okay, so the next thing that was significant was Gamora, the green one, the Thanos' other daughter. She ended up being reunited with her ex. Can't remember his name, but he's the one that had Tree with him, and him, Tree, and the little fox had the kind of raggedy spaceship they would fix up. Can't remember his name, but they were reunited. And that's just a reuniting of divine masculine and divine feminine to me. That's what that symbolized. Now, one thing I noticed was just like in the Game of Thrones, enemies are coming together. People who were against each other are now finding themselves in a position where either we figure out a way to come together, have peace, have a synergistic relationship, or we do not survive. That's the message that movie was sending, and I think that's a great message for all of us, is that we really need to learn how to not just coexist, but we need to learn how to stand in our truth, be authentic to who we are, just heart wide open, and just resonating from a place of love in everything that you do. If you do that, you will not fail. We won't fail. And getting to that place is a process, and it's not going to be an easy one, but survival is going to depend on how we treat each other. Survival would depend on how the powers, right, are shifting. It's time for us to get our power back. They're shifting. So it's not just your personal survival. Collectively, we are the Avengers, and we are trying to reinstate the great things of the ancients again. We have a second chance. whoever did what they did, however they did what they did, and moved us into a different part of the Milky Way and shifted us into a different branch of the quantum timeline. It saved us, and this is a second chance. And that's why all of a sudden people feel this strong urge to work on themselves, learn things they were afraid to learn before, and let go of judgments and let go of what you thought was true. That's one world. That's truly like one world. It was like some "we are the world" type shit. Like, you know, it was just beautiful to see. And so, yeah, I know some of y'all like that ain't gonna happen, but I'm telling you all what I'm being told and what I'm feeling. So we each are entitled to our own interpretations of things. Okay, see. Okay, here's the next thing. Now, Captain Marvel, which is the woman, right? She came to save everybody. She came at just the right moment, and not to take anything away from divine masculine, but divine feminine is stepping forward. And the survival of humanity will also be determined by the energy of the divine feminine. And this is why it's almost as if they've shifted the power from the males to the females. And so we know that ladies, men, because you all have a feminine aspect of you as well, we have both energies. You know, if the battery doesn't have a positive and negative side, it's not going to work. In order for us to survive, we must heal our divine masculine and our divine feminine, and know that the ability to save will come through the energy of the divine feminine. And this not is just energies. This isn't just energies like Mary Magdalene or Mary, goddesses that people look up to. These are even primordial energies. The dragon goddess, the triple dark goddess, Bastet, Sekhmet, even what would be considered dark energies, Mama Wata. All of these energies are necessary for humanity. It's just necessary for us to save ourselves from ourselves. Okay, so in the last battle, it was all women in the last battle. And this is not connected to feminism. This is something spiritual and something sacred. So this is totally separate from feminism, which was just another social engineering program from the powers that be. This is not that. This is the sacred divine feminine that we all have, and this is a great time to learn how to begin practicing using this energy, harnessing this energy, and even become aware that you have this energy and feeding this energy. Now, Iron Man had to take the stones, the power stones, the soul stone. He had to take the stones himself, and he paid the ultimate price for doing that. Hulk tried to take the stones, and it wasn't working. And so Iron Man realized it was going to have to be him. And so he took the stones, and he ended up losing his life because of it. Like I said, spoiler alert, but I got to drop this information like now. So, yeah, just watch it and pretend like you didn't watch this. Yes, and so what this is showing is that there does always have to be a sacrifice in order for something new to happen. Before you can have a harvest, you have to plant the seeds. You may have to move things in your yard. You may have to sacrifice space if you want to start a garden. It's just like with anything, there has to be a sacrifice. When a woman has a baby, she sacrifices her body. She sacrifices her figure. She sacrifices her time. She's dedicating herself to another human being, which is going to take away from whatever she was doing for herself. In order for there to be birth, there must be sacrifice. Okay. So, 2 sacrifices happened total. Natasha also was sacrificed. She sacrificed herself to save the world as well. And I'm not going to tell you how. I'm not going to spoil everything. But know that there were 2 sacrifices, 1 male and 1 female. And so we can see balance, restoration of balance, where it's no longer just the divine masculine being sacrificed or the divine masculine being in power, but there is a shared power, and there must be a shared sacrifice as well. Now, Thor gave his crown to the black girl who was, I think she's Asgard. She rode a Pegasus. She's going to be playing in the new Men in Black movie as well. Thor gave his crown to her, and he gave his hammer to Captain America, of course, because he can wield it. So Thor stepped down, and this is just the old gods, new gods type thing, where the old gods are stepping down and new gods are being put in their place. And Game of Thrones also kind of has this same dynamic happening. American Gods as well has this exact same dynamic happening. So any movie that you see and most of the rest of the movies from this year will have these same themes and dynamics. Okay. Now, the main goal, CERN is just the tip of the iceberg. But the main goal is to shut down all alternate realities. This means that CERN is doing some stuff we don't know about, of course. And however, there are other programs that are more advanced than CERN. So CERN is kind of like the scapegoat. And it's like, we'll let them know about CERN, but we're not going to let them know about this other stuff that we're doing. And so they probably affected the timelines in ways that are negative. And so they're having to fix that. And we have a game at home that we play with the kids called Headbands, and the A is gone out of the whole game. There isn't an A anymore, and it was definitely an A there. Everybody in the house, remember, we played it. So little bitty things like that happen, but there may have been some bigger things that happened, but a lot of us wouldn't remember. But those of us who have the ability to remember the timeline after the shift occurs, that's a very special thing. That means that your third eye is definitely wide open, and a lot of us are able to see the Mandela effects, and a lot of us are able to feel the energetic shifts as this is happening. Okay, now one last thing. So Captain America put the stones, thank you, baby. Okay, Captain America put the stones back, and then he came back as an old man. So when he went back in time, the purpose of him going back in time was to put the stones back where they were supposed to be, so that they could fix everything and close off the alternate realities that open us up to more danger. And he came back as an old man. So after he came back,
I can't find more rods.
Okay, just hold on. After he came back, he gave the shield to the black guy who flies. He has a suit kind of like Iron Man, but he has wings on it. I can't remember his name, y'all. What's his name? Falcon or okay, yeah, that guy. So anyway, he gives a shield to him. So America knows that the darker races are going through an awakening, and that the future of America will depend on what we do. The people who travel to the future have come back and told them, you must release the people who are oppressed. You must change how you are treating people who are oppressed in order for humanity to be saved. Now, Stanley passing his legacy of Marvel to Samuel L. Jackson and allowing him to write, that happening alone is symbolized by Captain America passing his shield on to the black guy. So again, you have someone who is shifting their power. They're shifting their legacy on to another. And this is just the old gods versus new gods. This is the wealth of the wicked stored up for the riches of the righteous. That's what's happening. Okay, part 2, Decoded. I hope y'all enjoying this and it's resonating with some of y'all, because this encouraged me. I feel like I can continue on this journey, and the stuff that I've been feeling like I'm not good at doing, I feel like I absolutely can achieve that now. So okay, so Hulk finally integrated with his shadow self and became better. The part of him that he hated has been embraced, and now he has become his best self in learning how to harness the other self that he didn't like. He was very calm. He wasn't angry anymore.
saw your friend.
He had opportunities to get angry in the movie, and he did get angry. So what does that prove? That proves that the most powerful thing, one of the most powerful things a person in the world can do is to be able to manage their emotions. And there was a part in the movie where they said, you may not be able to change everything in the world, but you can change how you react to it. And by doing that, you are changing your world, and you are absolutely changing the world for others as well. Quantum physics, they do feel like quantum physics, the message that I got, will be a salvation for us if it's used the right way, if it falls in the right hands. And so, yeah, we're going to find ourselves having to rely on quantum physics a lot more. Now, Thanos, well, first let me do Thor. Thor represents the people who are gorging on food, beer, gaming, as a distraction, drugs, alcohol from reality. Thor became obese. Thor lived in fear, and he would use anything that he could to cope and cover up the pain that was in his subconscious mind. He didn't want to face himself. So, yeah, he's very emotional. And I'm going to get more into Thor and what he did that gives us an idea of what it is we need to be doing right now. This light code was huge. This was like a download instruction manual for those of us who are trying to merge our higher selves and lower selves, and who are trying to be our best selves. So, okay, so Iron Man. Iron Man represents the person who lost it all, and now that he has his family back, he questions whether he should participate in saving the universe from Thanos. And I get that. You got a family. He really didn't want to have to sacrifice his family to save the whole world, but his wife told him, you know, he asked her, couldn't I just go to bed? Couldn't I pretend like I didn't figure out how to do this and just go to bed? And she asked him, well, would you be able to rest if you did that? And he knew that he wouldn't be able to rest. It was just part of his calling and who he is to save the world. And so, right there in that building. And so, this is how he decided to help save the world. On the topic of New York has space, mind, and time stones. It's in that building right there. New York was used to manipulate time with 9/11, as I was telling you. I believe that this ripped a hole in the fabric of time and space, and it tore apart the old collective mind of the world. Think about it. Every continent sent all its energy paying attention, right, to New York at that time. That was a harnessing of power. And so the space stone, that was altering the space that we were in by altering that space, by taking down two buildings and making one building. Again, the divine masculine and the divine feminine being merged to become one. The lower self and the higher self being merged to become one. That's what this symbolizes. The mind, again, the 9/11 event, it altered the collective mind of all of us. And even though it was painful and a terrible event, it helped us to be able to have compassion. It was just one of those moments. And in that moment, humanity had a collective mental shift of their programming. That's huge. That's why a lot of the battles were fought in New York throughout the Avengers, the whole Marvel theme. So that's huge. And I got a feeling that maybe it's attached to some of the ley lines and stuff too. I haven't looked into that. I'm not sure about that. If you all know, if New York maybe sits on a ley line in particular, that could be connected as well. Now, here was another point. This is going to help us. They were all going back in time to certain points in their life to retrieve the stones. These stones represent our chakras and our dormant DNA. This practice is meditation and epigenetics. By going to past traumatic events and recreating them in our mind, we can access our chakras cleanse them and balance them. And we can also begin to access the dormant DNA as well as the right hemisphere of the brain. All of them had to do this. All of them had to go back in time and recreate the event. And I'm going to get into what Thor did, because what Thor did was just, it really spoke to me. It brought me to tears, y'all. So that was the importance of that portion. You can do this. You don't need CERN, a time machine, or anything else. Just your mind. The mind is everything. You can absolutely do this. Okay, so start recreating past events that were traumatic for you. Okay, your memory of the event is what holds the energy and how it impacts you, not the event itself. You have the power. Captain America had to battle himself as well. And so this just goes back to a lot of us right now. The enemy, we're realizing that the enemies aren't outside of us. The demons aren't outside of us. They are within us. And we sometimes have to challenge and battle ourselves so that the self we want to be on top wins. And that's the highest self, the higher self. Now, the new branch of reality, Dr. Strange mentor, teacher, can't remember her name, but she said that she didn't want to give them the stone when they went back in time to get it, because she said there were a lot of variables and a lot of things that could happen by creating branches in reality that way. And so Dr. Strange ended up giving the Infinity Stone to Hulk, because Hulk told her that Dr. Strange was the one that gave the stone to Thanos in the first place. So she gave it to Hulk, and you know, he's green, of course, Bruce, and that he represents anger, but he was no longer angry. So this means that Hulk had heart chakra healing that was the key to giving him power over infinity. Okay, yeah, these bugs. Let me move around a little bit. Okay. Oh, some of the bugs on me, they just love me today. So now, collectively, a lot of us are healing our hearts as well. And by doing that, we are tapping into these alternate universes and dimensions. And this is giving us the ability to change the future. And so that's powerful that we're able to collectively do that. You was chose for this time. This is divine that you are here. You know, you might as well use it. Now, Thanos. Sorry, y'all. So, they read Thanos' daughter. They read her Akashic records and found duplicate memories. Sounds a lot like Mandela effect, deja vu. Even some of us feel like we're like sometimes here, but we're not. We're kind of here, but we're kind of not. I know it happens to me. So that this is why. These different duplicate memories are being streamed as memories which are coming from two other conscious timelines that exist in one person. So this is what's happening to us. We have multiple dimensions that we are now picking up in one body. And this is what it means to say the veil has thinned. This is what it means to say Christ has returned. This is what it means to say the kingdom of heaven is upon us, that it will come to the earth, new heaven. There is a merging happening with us. So don't think you're crazy. You're not crazy. It's just what the energetic shift is doing to those of us who are shifting and changing. Now, here's the part about Thor. Thor, his mom told him when he went back in time, she told him the measure of a person is about succeeding at who you are. So the measure of how successful you are is your ability to be authentic. But before you can be authentic, you must know thyself, search, and figure out who you are. And what part of you is your higher self and lower self? What part of you needs healing? What part of your soul is fragmented? He reparented himself. He had a conversation with his mom that he had been needing to have. If you've lost your mom, dad, or any loved one, go talk to them in meditation. Thor reparented himself, then remembered to ask for his hammer. And once it returned to him, he said, I am still worthy. Even though I'm fat, I eat too much, I drink too much, I'm drinking too much beer, I'm not taking care of myself, but I'm still worthy. Those were 3 powerful messages in that one scene. Another very powerful thing was that his mom said that she was raised and taught by witches. And she said because of that, that's why she knew that he was a Thor from a different timeline and not her Thor, which I thought was powerful. So I was like, power to the witches, you know. Natasha sacrificed herself to get the soul stone. So to access the soul, the true self, one must be willing to sacrifice the old self. So y'all, some people are really having a hard time with dealing with who we are and how we are now. Here you go. And that's okay. But that old self dying is part of your growth. And if you're able to just let that be and release resistance to that, things will pan themselves out. And let's see, what's one more thing? That was it. Yeah. So that was it. That was the breakdown. And I hope this was as much as a blessing. Ooh, big old bug. I'm trying to get them off of you. They all over me too. So y'all, the mosquitoes is about to kidnap us and carry us away from here. So we're getting ready to go. The sun has set now. Let's see.
Yep, it's closed.
Yeah, the sun has set, so this was perfect, beautiful ending to a day. Share this with somebody you think would enjoy this. And don't forget, y'all, to reach out to us at remnantsgathering@gmail.com. If you enjoy us decoding these movies, we're going to start decoding music videos as well. So eventually we're going to shift to Patreon, but this gives you an idea of what you can expect from us. If there's anything specific that you all need from us, email us and let us know, and we'll see if we can integrate that into the things that we will be providing for you all on Patreon. All right. Peace, y'all.